I literally beefing people in my head because of the way they give report, or the way they put on her patient. The next nurse left, she went in, the patient was dead. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what you should be doing when you're in clinicals. So this video is for my nursing students. So one of the things I think nursing students and nurses in general lack are your assessment skills. Sometimes the patient could be crashing or it can be going through a number of things, and we forget to simply assess the patient, see what's going on. And this happened to me before. I'm a fairly skilled nurse, and I had a patient. He kept throwing up as soon as he can get him. He had two types, right? And nothing was working. Like, this man was throwing up. And instead of me going in there, okay, let me assess and see if he has bowel sounds, if he's distended. Like, I'm just trying to treat the symptom, but not really assessing him, and using my critical thinking skills to be like, okay, this patient can benefit from basically an NG2. That's in the end result. That's what we got him in the end. And I remember the doctor coming in, and the doctor was like very snappy with me. Long story short, he was just like, this patient just asking me assessment questions, and I'm like, ooh, this is really a good teaching moment. Could he have delivered it a little bit better? Yes, but I do appreciate it, because I should have been using my assessment skills where, assess the bowel sounds. Okay, this man doesn't really have any bowel sounds. Something is wrong here. He's descended and he's stirring up. Okay, and then when I went to the doctor, I could have gone, hey, doctor, my patient is presented with nausea and vomiting, no bowel signs or hypoactive bowel signs. And I could have made a suggestion, can we get an NG2, right? Versus I had that patient 3 days, and it took me about the third day to realize this man needs an NG2. And it was just because I was busy. I was on the PCU floor at the time, and I was just trying to treat the symptoms and going about my business. I didn't really have that time, and I was spending so much time on that patient. I had 3 other patients that I needed to care for. So I think nursing students need to really do well at their focused assessments. And I say that when you're in clinicals, you know how your clinical instructor is like, okay, today's assessment day, let me give me your head to toe. If you perfect the head to toe assessment, you will do very well on your focused assessment. Head to toe assessments look very different in the hospital. But I think you guys, every chance you get, should be doing a focus or a full assessment on your patients. Because the only time you do a head to toe is on a mission. After that, it's basically focused. Like when I was on the cardiac floor, I did a very focused cardiac assessment. Now that I'm on neuro ICU, I sway more towards a very thorough neuro assessment. So it varies different what type of floor you're on. But I think a lot of nurses in general suck at it. They don't have really good assessment skills, especially if you're a new grad and you go straight to like a nursing home or something, and you haven't had the opportunity to work on the floor. You will lack in that department. So practice your focus and head to toe assessments. And I'm not talking about the kind they give you in school when they're asking you to assess the freaking hair. No, like it will come in play when you're trying to figure out what intervention can we get the doctor to give us so that we can help better the patient and what's going on with them, instead of just treating the symptoms. Nurses have a really bad habit of just treating symptoms. Another thing I think you guys should really focus on your skills. Like if you have the opportunity to do skills, and because there's certain skills that you rarely would do, and then there's certain skills that you're gonna do all the time, so you really need to get proficient at them. So you have nurses that are gonna allow you to practice those skills, hone in on them. Some of the skills that I'm preferring to is like hanging like lines, know how to piggyback a line, know how to use the line as a secondary, know how to program the pumps. This is important because I've had a nursing student who didn't know how to do these things. And I was just like, wow. And it's not her fault, but I'm just saying, I'm coming here to tell y'all the truth. Another thing you should know how to do is start an IV. An access for a patient to have access is one of the most important things. If your patient start coding with no access, that is a horror story. If your patient starts declining and you don't have access to give them any type of medication, you're gonna have a long day. Or if they're a heart sick, you're gonna have a long day. So just practice as many IVs as you can, and eventually get better at them, because that's something you always need to do. IVs, program the pump, hanging lines, stuff like that are things you always would do. Okay, another thing you guys should know how to do, this is so embarrassing, and I'm gonna put this in here because it happened to me. So I'm a person who, I didn't come from a nursing or medical background. I came from the military, and I did some care coordination work and then a little small odd jobs before I became a nurse. But I had no idea, like I'd never been to tech, right? So if you've never been to tech, please. So I remember one time I was in clinicals and I didn't even know how to check a blood sugar. I didn't even know how to check a blood sugar. So please practice that. If you've never been a tech, make sure you know how to work the glucometer. Like make sure you know what a Lancet is. Make sure you know the terminology in order to check the blood sugar. I thought it was so embarrassing. And I think God knew I was having an embarrassing moment when the nurse was like, "Hey, check the blood sugar." And I'm like, "I never used this before." And I was like fairly really new in nursing. I was like, "This is like my first time doing, no, my second semester of clinicals." And I didn't know I didn't know how to use a machine. So that's why I'm telling you, make sure you know how to do that if you're not a tech or anything in that nature. That was so embarrassing. But the patient was like, "You're doing good. I know you're a student. Like you're doing good. Don't get down on yourself." Like he could see that I was like embarrassed by not knowing how to check the blood sugar. So know how to do that. Know how to hook up suction, because if you don't know how to hook up suction, you can't hook up a male or female puree. Just to let you know. Depending on what type of floor you're on, you need suction, especially in cold situations. How to titrate your oxygen, your parameters for oxygen, when to go up on oxygen. Because although you have the respiratory therapists there, you at the end of the day need to know when to go up and go down on the patient oxygen. So there are some uncommon things. I won't call them uncommon. You would do them a lot when you're in nursing school, but you won't actually practice them a lot when you become a nurse. Like NG2s, diapause. I know at our hospital, unless you're in the ICU, you cannot do a diapause. So now I just like really getting competency on doing diapause. They usually call a rapid response team to do those things that you commonly don't do. So if you have the opportunity to do them in clinical, please take advantage of that, because it's not every day you're going to the floor and you're dropping an NG2. You get what I'm saying? So practice that. Foley, that's one of the things you do or you don't. It depends. But if you have opportunity to do it, because I don't understand like how I'm a female and placing a Foley and a female is one of the hardest things. It's like, do we not know our own anatomy? It's pretty embarrassing now that I think about it. Yeah, but honestly, it's just a skill. So if you get the chance to practice it, please just do it. I got trach care this day. I think I had my first trach patient being in the ICU. And so much has changed from nursing school to the newer trachs. So now trachs have inline suction, as if you had a patient on a vent, you would inline suction them. So I remember I had a patient on trach, this was just recently, and I had to call a respiratory therapist to give me like a little mini in-service. And he looked at me like, "What the fuck?" Like you could tell he was just like, "You a nurse?" Okay, another thing you guys should be practicing is in your own labs. So I say this because especially if you work night shift, so I have to go to work in day and night shift. If you work night shift, you'll realize that sometimes you have to get your own labs. You have to get like your 4 a.m. labs, and if you don't have a central line or a pick line to draw back for, or even an active cap, sometimes if you haven't had to practice to draw labs with a butterfly needle, it could be difficult, especially on your vascular and diabetic patients, because their veins are shot. So definitely practice getting good with needle sticks to get your labs, because like I said, labs tells you everything about the body. It tells you what the body is doing, how it's trying to compensate, and what is it going through. Learning to read your labs is one of the most important things. It tells you a lot about your patient, and then you can kind of use your assessment skills that I told you need to know, and your critical thinking, which comes as you become a nurse and you put the work in. Those will come along. You keep learning to read labs, critical thinking, and focuses and good assessment skills is that okay, maybe I can anticipate that this may happen with my patient, so let me try to jump ahead of it and be proactive. So getting labs is important. Sit around working for 15 to come. Good luck. Always practice bedside handoff report. I know it sounds like, okay, I'm just telling another nurse what's going on with my patient, but some people really suck at telephone. Like they really suck at passing along information. Like I think when some people were kids, they want to do all the talking, they didn't have really good listening skills. So as an adult, they can't give a appropriate and thorough handoff, bedside handoff report. Like, I mean, it really is a skill within itself, and you wouldn't really understand it until you become a nurse. I know some schools, when you get towards the end, you do your preceptorship and you shadow a nurse for 12 hours. Hound that nurse about letting you give the bedside handoff, like to the next nurse. Just volunteer, let her tell her like, "Hey, can I practice this time? For my first week with you, can I just give report on one patient, and then as you get more confident, give reports on your all the patients. That should be your goal by the end of your preceptorship, while you're still in clinicals or you're still in nurse school. You may not think it's not a big deal, but let me tell you, bedside shift handoff can get real catty. Like I literally beef with people in my head because of the way they give report, or the way they don't give report. And in my head, I'm like, I gotta get a report from this girl. I can't stand her. Like she's aggravating as hell. Like, she's gonna ask me 1,000 questions. She's gonna act like I have to get everything done in the shift. But when she gives me a report, she's not gonna have everything done. That's where the beef starts. That's where you realize some people you just don't like. Like you never work with them because they work a different shift than you, but you could tell that they're not your cup of tea. Can get really, really catty, unfortunately. So practice it. Try to get really good at it. The better you are, the less questions hopefully the next nurse asks you, and you guys will have a better rapport. Rapport starts at the bedside, and always give your report. The nurses don't like to go in, but I always say after they give me, like let's say they don't want to go in, we'll do the report at the door. I'm gonna go in and just try to put eyes on the patient and check the vitals, like just to see the monitor, like are they in the correct heart rhythm? Where's their O2 status? Are they freaking breathing? Like the last thing that you should absolutely be doing when you get clinicals is charting. You may be thinking like I'm not there for that. How is that gonna help me? Boo, it's gonna help you. The simple fact is most systems in most hospitals, most hospitals are converting to Epic. So eventually everybody's going to be on the same page, and you want to be ahead of the game when it comes to charting, and it's only going to make you quicker and faster than everybody else around you. The reason why I say practice is if the nurses allow you, because it's just you practicing. Anything that you put in the chart as a student, the nurse has to co-sign it. Most times she's going to do her own chart regardless because she's not going to trust you. But it's to help you get familiar with the system and knowing how to use it so you're not like a duck, no, a deer in headlights when it's time for you to get hired as a nurse in Epic. Epic's going to help you out, know how to navigate, know how to use it, know where to go when you get on your own when it comes to time management. It's going to help you so much in the future. Most people I know who struggle with time management as a new grad is because they don't know when to chart.